Welcome to I Love Literature. I'm here to discuss about Oliver Goldsmith's A City Night piece. So before discussing this video, I would like to request you to go back and watch those videos which I have already created on A City Night piece. That's a detailed video. That's a line by line description. If you read that, if you see that video, if you read this piece, seeing that video, you will understand whatever I'm going to talk about this piece today. So coming back to this, see, many questions can be formed on this particular essay. For an example, how does Goldsmith bring out sufferings of poor people in his essay A City Night piece? So to describe how does he bring out sufferings of poor people, first you need to understand life of Goldsmith. Okay, now this particular video is for BA literature students. Now my first question to BA literature students is, what do you think? Why in every BA syllabus you find Oliver Goldsmith? Why Oliver Goldsmith is prescribed across our country in BA? Is he that important? Is it very important to read his writings, or if you don't read his writings, you can't understand literature? What is the reason behind it? Now, I'm going to tell you that. The first thing is, it's not that if you don't read Goldsmith, you will not understand literature. Since you are in BA first year, second year, or third year, for you, it is important to read simple things first. If you read simple things first, you will get the hack of literature by reading simple things, and that will help you in climbing the ladder of difficulty in literature. Now, what's next? Okay, that's it, because he writes so simple. No, that's not the only answer. Now, let's talk about Oliver Goldsmith so that you understand. See, Oliver Goldsmith belonged to 18th century. You should know this. You should remember this. You should by heart this, that he belonged to 18th century of England. He belonged to 18th century of English literature. Now, 18th century is known as Augustan age, and it is also known as New Classical age. So why only Oliver Goldsmith? Because he gives a vivid picture of this entire Augustan age to us. So when we read something written by Oliver Goldsmith, we understand what kind of society 18th century was, and that's why we read Oliver Goldsmith in our BA courses. I hope it is pretty clear to you now. So 18th century is called Augustan age. 18th century is also known as Neoclassical age, and we read Oliver Goldsmith because he gives us a vivid picture of this particular age in very simple language. Now, coming back to this particular piece, A City Night piece. Now, one more thing. The kind of life Oliver Goldsmith lived, you should understand this thing. See, I'm not going to tell you where was he born, where did he die, what did he write. No, that is not that important. That you can find everywhere. Anywhere you can find these facts. Now, what you should remember about Oliver Goldsmith is he was an Irishman who later on shifted to England, okay, and he lived a very poor life. Since his childhood, he actually saw poverty from close quarters. So a poor man, when goes to England, for an example, a poor girl or a boy goes to Mumbai with his or her eyes full of dreams, what happens? Similarly, Oliver Goldsmith also went to England with many dreams in his eyes. And what happened? What did he see there? He saw poverty there. Okay, so that's how we know that he knew about poverty so well that he was well equipped to write about poverty in his writings. Okay, next thing, he was not easily accepted by English people. He was an Irishman, he was considered inferior, and he was not easily accepted in English society. So what did he do there after going there? What does you do when you go to a new place? You closely observe that place. Okay, you closely observe manners of that place, so that you get acquainted to it, so that you also get hack of it. Okay, so he also did the same thing. He actually studied deeply English society, English manners. He closely observed English society, English manners, and that's what we get to read in his writing, and that's what he wrote about in his writing. Okay, and that's how through his writing we come to know about English society. I hope it is pretty clear to you right now. Now, if this question is asked to you, that how does Goldsmith bring out the sufferings of the poor people in his essay, A City Night Piece, then let's discuss that. If you look at this particular essay, you will find these lines. But who are those who make the streets their couch and find a short repose from wretchedness at the door of the opulent? These are strangers, wanderers, and orphans whose circumstances are too humble to accept redress. See what he has written. There are poor people. People are so poor in this English society that their circumstances are too humble to accept redress. You can't undo anything in their life. You can't eradicate their poverty. These people are so poor. That's how he talks about poverty, and their distress are too great even for pity. Poverty is of such level in English society that you will get horrified. Sometimes you want to help somebody, but instead of pitying that person, you get horrified. Why? Because his condition is miserable. So the same thing we see here. And thereafter, Goldsmith says, thereafter the narrator actually says, the world has disclaimed them. Nobody is there to look after these poor people. Okay, the society turns its back upon their distress and has given them up to nakedness and hunger. Actually, these people are dying of hunger. That's how these people are suffering. And then he goes on to describe poverty to this extent that he says, why was I born a man? He's ashamed of himself. You should understand that he's ashamed to be called a man. That is more important here. And then he also cries seeing these poor people, these condition of these people. And then the poor weep unheeded, persecuted by every subordinate species of tyranny. And then he asks God to take away his tenderness, to take away his heart's sensibility. He says that I should not be this sensitive, that I can do nothing for them. I can just weep for them, cry for them. Either he asks God, either you give me fortune, okay, or you take away my tenderness. So this entire essay is not only a vivid description of English society, but it is also his plea to God. He can't make a plea to rich people in that society who are very oppressive, but actually this entire essay, where he's describing a very pathetic condition of these poor people. He's also describing hypocrisy in English society, and in the end we see that he is actually begging to God. He's beseeching, he's begging to God to either give him fortune or take away his tenderness, his heart's tenderness, so that he gets relieved of this suffering which he is getting, looking at the suffering of those people. I hope this is clear to you. Thank you for watching.